welcome. This is Hot Edition. We're live from a news about this week and also live on Kesme 107.1 in Tamale, and we're live as well on W93.5 in Wa and beyond. We're also streaming live on Facebook at 3FM 927. Read out to you and to the rest of the world this evening here on Hot Edition. Office of Special Prosecutor agrees to new bail conditions for Paul Adom Otchere as Ghana Airport Compnay terminates controversial revenue assurance agreement with Evatex Logistics Limited. DSTV faces August 7 deadline to reduce subscription prices for Ghanaian customers or risk suspension of its broadcasting permit. We've got details for you on this one. Also, Parliament goes on recess after concluding 43 sittings of the second session of the 9th Parliament. Stay with us. We've got details of this plus more on the latest in the world of business and sport over the next 1 hour here on Hot Edition. I am Alfred Ocansey. Let's start off for a summary of the news now. And your name, Haliga, is here.
In today's summaries, the Office of the Special Prosecutor has revised bail conditions for Paul Adom Otchere, the former board chairman of the Ghana Airport Compnay Limited, after negotiations with his lawyer. The Just Bond group of companies is now serving as surety. Adom Otchere was detained overnight after his arrest in connection with a corruption-related probe into a contract between GACL and Evatex Logistics. He was initially unable to meet bail terms requiring 2 landed properties in his name. The OSP's director, Sami Dako, denied allegations of a witch hunt, insisting the office is acting within the law. Investigations are currently still ongoing. The Office of the Special Prosecutor has clarified that the managing director of the Ghana Airport Compnay Limited, that's Nana Efriye Opare, is currently not a person of interest in the ongoing SML contract investigation. According to the OSP's Director of Strategy, Research and Communication, Sami Dako Appiah said there are no indications at this stage that she has questions to answer, but may be called upon if necessary as the investigation progresses. Now, in education, the Ghana National Association of Teachers is calling for a creation for more reform centers to tackle rising student indiscipline. Now, NAT warns that increasing acts of violence, including students attacking peers with knives, threaten the country's education system. The call was made by NAT's General Secretary, Thomas Musa Tanko, following a recent surge in student violence in parts of Accra. Now, finally, the Communication Minister, Sam Nate George, has claimed that there's no 5G service was rolled out by the Next Gen Infraco company and that the Akufo-Addo administration, despite a high-profile launch in November 2024. Now, speaking at the government's accountability series on August 1, 2025, he described the launch attended by the former president, Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo, and the then communication minister, Esla Owusu Ekufo, as a smokescreen, stating that 5G services does not currently exist in Ghana.
Thank you very much. It's more news on 3news.com. Make some time and visit 3news.com. Let's get into some stories now, as the Office of the Special Prosecutor has agreed to revised bail conditions for Paul Adom Otchere, the former board chair of the Ghana Airport Compnay Limited. This follows negotiations between Paul Adom Otchere's legal team and the OSP after he was granted bail earlier today in connection with an ongoing investigation into alleged corruption-related offences during his tenure as the Ghana Airport Compnay Limited. The Just Bond group of companies is now serving as surety under the updated terms, which the Special Prosecutor's Office says still align with the objectives of the original bail conditions. The Special Prosecutor says the case may indeed remains under active investigation. Let's now bring you the full statement issued by the Office of the Special Prosecutor. And I'm Haliga, we'll get into the statement right now and get into the details of it, and also hear exactly what the Director of Strategy, Research and Communications at the Office of Special Prosecutor, that's Samida, who was denied the suggestions of which Han is saying the OSP is adhering strictly to the law. But what does the statement say from the Office of Special Prosecutor on the latest with Paul Adom Otchere?
The statement from the special prosecutor indicates that it has accepted the revised bail conditions proposed by the legal counsel for Mr. Paul Adom Otchere, the former board chairman of the Ghana Airport Compnay Limited. Now, the revised terms, which met the objectives of the original bail conditions, have been secured by the Jospon group of companies acting as sureties. Now, the matter remains under active investigation by the Office of the Special Prosecutor. Now, this is on their social media page, official social media page. That's the Office of the Special Prosecutor, Ghana.
Now, let's hear exactly what the TV show host who was detained overnight after his arrest in connection with the ongoing investigation into a suspected corruption-related offense stemming from a revenue assurance contract entered into by the Airport Compnay and Evatex Logistics Limited. The update that we do know right now is that the Ghana Airport Compnay Limited Managing Director Yvonne Nana Efriye Opare has terminated the controversial revenue assurance contract with Evatex Logistics Limited with no payments made to date. According to documents that we have cited, Evatex Logistics Limited was formally served with a letter of termination on the 28th of July 2025, just some 3 days ago. Now, we have a copy of that statement we'll put on the screen shortly, but the Office of Special Prosecutor is investigating the circumstances under which the contract was awarded to the firm affiliated with Strategic Mobilization Ghana Limited, SML. The former board chair of the Ghana Airport Compnay Limited, Paul Adom Otchere, and host of Good Evening Ghana on Metro TV, has been or was arrested to assist in investigations into that particular contract. Though Paul Adom Otchere was granted bail, he could not meet the bail terms to landed properties of any value in his name as of yesterday. And this morning, the updates that we do have. Now, the Director of Research and Communications at the Special Prosecutor's Office, Samid Akon, who was denied suggestions of witch hunt, says the OSP is adhering strictly to the law. He spoke earlier today on TV3 New Day. You can listen to him.
As far as the OSP is concerned, we have come across evidence that directly point to certain actions of Mr. Adom Otchere as a board chairman that falls in line with the offenses that we are allowed to investigate. And that is what we are investigating.
Okay. And
I do not want us to draw so much into the details of it because, remember, he has been cautioned, and then Mr. Adom Otchere will be placed before the court after the legal vacation.
Okay. We've seen what the other investigative bodies do. They fix the terms of the bill, and if you don't meet the terms of the bill, they basically keep you. We are approaching the weekend. Is there a possibility that the office is open to reviewing the conditions that you have fixed, or if he does not meet it, you are simply going to take the position like the other investigative bodies to hold him until he meets the condition, or his lawyers take the step and go to court?
I think the OSP is a law-abiding institution, and anything that the law allows us to do, we are going to do that. So what it means is that if Mr. Adom Otchere is not able to meet the bail term, and after 48 hours, I'm sure that it's either he will be placed before the court, because the law says that after 48 hours, the person has to be put before the court so that the court can, if we want to say seek remand, we can do that, or he himself can go to court and then try to vary the bail term. I think this is all within the context of law. But the point I want to make is that the OSP has not trampled on Mr. Adom Otchere's rights. The OSP is a law enforcement agency that is into corruption and corruption-related matters.
Finally, Sammy, beyond Paul Adom Otchere and the named individuals, is the managing director a person of interest or a suspect in this investigation that is taking place?
I do not even understand why the managing director's name is being bandied around by a particular group of people.
The board chairman, the former board chairman, directly mentioned the name. He says that she's the one who signed the contract.
The fact that he mentioned someone's name does not mean that that person may be a subject of investigation. That is he trying to defend himself. We are a very professional...
Directly whether he's a subject of the investigation. That's why I'm asking you directly.
We are doing our job. We know exactly what we are doing. We know the people that there is evidence against, and we know what each of them has done in the course of this investigation, and that is what we are doing. If it means that the MD of the company has to answer, the MD of the company will answer. But it is not up to the suspect to be determining, why have you called this? Why have you called this?
Yeah. Are you able to confirm to us whether she's a subject of this investigation? Are you able to tell us that?
No, I'm unable to tell you that because...
So that's Samid Akon. He is head of research and communication strategy as well at the Office of Special Prosecutor. Let's go on to the telephone now, and we've been joined on the telephone by the counsel for Paul Adom Otchere, the former board chair of the Ghana Airport Compnay Limited. Nicholas Anane Ej is his lawyer. He's joining us right now. Counsel, good evening. Thank you for joining us.
Good evening, Alfred.
It's good to have you join us this evening. First off, let's get an update on where is Paul Adom Otchere now as we speak?
A very good evening to your listeners, Alfred. As we speak, I can confirm that Mr. Paul Adom Otchere has been released on bail. He's met the revised bail conditions, and therefore he's been released and he's gone home.
I see. Now, there was some... I asked this because of the conflicting information as we got at some point about a particular location in cantonments that he had to be released to and so on. Can you clarify that for us? What exactly ensued in the OSP's earlier communication, and what we got to know about this cantonments location that came up?
The OSP had indicated that they were unable to release him in their offices. No explanation was proffered, and so they requested that Mr. Adom Otcere's lawyers indicate where they want him to be released. And so the former Attorney General, Honorable Alfred, who was present, indicated that he has no objection to Mr. Adom Otchere being released at his offices, Dami and Partners, at cantonment. But on their way to the office, they were recalled back to the office of the OSP and informed of some administrative issues that had been sorted out. No specific issues were pointed out. But eventually, everything was done, and he was taken to the former Attorney General's office, and that was where he was released in cantonment.
I see. And the revised bail conditions, are you able to tell us exactly what was in there? Because earlier, the OSP had indicated that he was to provide the landed properties of no specific value in his name. He indicated that he did not have any landed property in his name. So what was the revised bail condition that he is met now?
So you will recall that we had maintained that the requirement for him to produce landed properties in his name was unreasonable, and him making bail cannot be linked to property possession, so that if he does not own property, he should be able to go on bail. And so today when we went to the OSP, there were conversations, and as I had indicated in the morning, the OSP varied this position now to require that he produces one surety with any property value. And pursuant to that, we had engaged the OSP whether that surety, given that Mr. Adom Otchere works with Metro TV, can be a corporate guarantee, and that was accepted. And so one surety was provided, and that was the Just Bond group of companies, and then a property owned by one of the subsidiaries of the Just Bond group of companies was offered to the OSP in satisfaction of the requirements of property. So it will mean that the OSP waived Paul's personal possession requirements and also waived the requirements of a public servant, one of whom must not be less than a principal.
I see. And what specific charges are we talking about here, that the OSP has slapped on Paul Adom Otchere?
So I will make the point again that Mr. Paul Adom Otchere has not been charged. He has been cautioned. The OSP has informed him that he is investigating certain kinds of offenses. And when that investigation concludes and finds him culpable, then he would be charged. And so as of now, Mr. Paul Adom Otchere has not been charged with any offense. The offenses the OSP indicates it is investigating, however, is first of all corruption and corruption-related offenses, and without an indication of what specific corrupt acts or what specific corruption-related offense is being investigated. And then secondly, suspected breach of procurement rules. And lastly, the use of public office for private gain. Those are the three investigations the OSP indicates is carrying out.
I see. And the breach of procurement, did it have anything to do with the said contract entered into by the Ghana Airport Compnay Limited and the Evatex Logistics Limited, which we understand has been terminated now?
In fact, the entire invitation of Mr. Paul Adom Otchere to the OSP was based on that. And so that is what all of the offenses that I've mentioned that the OSP claims it is investigating centers around. So in the case of corruption and corruption-related offense, the OSP would be required to demonstrate and prove specifically within that transaction what corrupt acts he alleges was undertaken by Mr. Paul Adom Otchere or which other ever party. Similarly, he will be required to demonstrate how in that transaction Mr. Paul Adom Otchere used his public office for personal gain and what that gain specifically was out of that transaction, as well as the breach of procurement rules. So all of these are related to that transaction.
I see, but the development we're learning is that, I don't know if you're aware of this, that the managing director, Ghana Opare, has actually terminated this revenue assurance contract with Evatex Logistics Limited with no payments made to date. That's the development.
We have seen on the news that publication, and for us that goes to underscore the point that we were making, that it could be that the entire investigation would turn out there was nothing to look into. And that is why the OSP had to be measured in its exercise of granting bail and the conditions it was setting. Other than that, you end up unnecessarily restricting the liberty of individuals without a proportionate consideration. If indeed, as the MD is indicating, the contract has been terminated and then no payment was made at all, then on what basis are we going to allege corrupt and corrupt-related offenses, or that he used that transaction to gain a private gain? So these are the issues that we are raising and contending with, that for now, it is still at the investigation stage, and so the OSP ought to be measured in how it carries out its offense. But I must also put on record that in due time, Mr. Adom Otchere himself would be speaking on these issues for the media to engage him on.
Right. And the OSP says all along, right from the get-go on this matter, the office has been acting within the remit of the law, nothing beyond what the law requires it to do. So you say that they should have been measured in their approach. They say whatever they have done right from the onset is legal and it is within their powers to do so. Counsel.
Alfred, you see, that has always been the approach by democratic dictators, that they stick to the letter of the law without considerations to the fact that the law grants discretion. And in the exercise of that discretion, the law also provides constraints. So when you look at Article 296, it requires that whenever you have to exercise a discretion, that discretion must be exercised without malice. It must be exercised without any arbitrariness and without any capriciousness. And so tell me how it becomes reasonable that I indicate to you I have no landed property in the jurisdiction, and shortly after that, your requirement for me to post bail is that I provide 2 landed properties registered in my name. And so while you may be within your power in setting the conditions of bail, that condition that is set clearly becomes unreasonable and capricious, because then it cannot by any measure of good faith be said to have been done without malice. And that is why we say that while the OSP has the power to grant bail, its decisions in setting bail conditions must accord with the dictates of Article 296 in the exercise of its discretion. And in this case, we think the OSP fell short by the bail conditions it set. And again, the position of the OSP today clearly goes to affirm this, that if indeed you could have secured the attendance of Mr. Paul Adom Otchere with just one surety with any landed property from a third party, why could you not have made that decision yesterday and insisted that he provides 2 sureties in his name before he makes bail? So that is why we say that they may be within their power, but the exercise of that discretion, regrettably, we can't say was done in fairness to the Constitution and the dictates of exercise of discretions.
Well, so you say he's at home now. Is he supposed to visit the Special Prosecutor's office at any point? So, can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, please, Alfred.
Yes, I was saying that you're saying he's been released, he's at home now. Is he supposed to visit the Special Prosecutor's office subsequently?
Yes, he is required to report to the office once a week and on any other day when they need him for further interrogation or interviews.
We'll watch this and see how things play out. Thank you very much for joining us, Counsel.
Thank you very much, Alfred. A good evening.
And have a good evening too. So let's stay a bit further on this particular matter and the latest development as you're hearing from the lawyer of Paul Adom Otchere, whom we just spoke to, had him right now giving us updates of the latest development with respect to the broadcaster and the former board chair of the Ghana Airport Compnay Limited. His lawyer, Nicholas Lenin Anane Ej, the one I was just talking to, giving us update that yes, Paul Adom Otchere has been released. He's at home. He's supposed to also attend to the Office of Special Prosecutor every week. And we understand the Special Prosecutor is investigating Paul Adom Otchere on 3 issues: suspected breach of procurement laws, using public office for private gain. And this is where this particular contract that has now become public between the Ghana Airport Compnay Limited and Evatex Logistics Limited, which Paul Adom Otchere says was signed at his blind side, because he says it was Manasseh Azuri who told him that the MD signed the contract on the 4th of December, 3 days before election day, December 7. He didn't know about this as board chair of the Ghana Airport Compnay Limited. Well, the development with this particular issue is that the managing director, Yvonne Nana Efriye Opare, has terminated the controversial revenue assurance contract with this company, Evatex Logistics Limited, which is owned by the owner of the Strategic Mobilization Limited, a controversial SML deal as well, which has been a subject of investigation by the Special Prosecutor as well. Now, I've been joined on the telephone by Adam Senano, who is a co-chair of the Citizens Movement Against Corruption. He's joining us right now. Mr. Senano, you've been following this case quite closely and getting this update now from the lawyers of Paul Adom Otchere. How does this get to you?
Well, let me just indicate that I have to run away. I've been waiting for a while. I'm leading a meeting, so I'll just make this quick.
Yes.
I hear the lawyer talk about how it appears that the OSP may have insisted on elements dealing with the bail, which were, in their opinion, things that they ought not to have been demanding, given what Mr. Paul Adom Otchere has said. The question on my mind is that why do we assume that the OSP does not have certain information, and as it were, we're laying a scenario where when Paul responds, it will, as it were, enable the case that they want to bring against him. So I think that it is too early for them to jump to the conclusion that once Paul has said he has no landed property, the OSP should not have requested that. They probably have some information on which basis they went ahead to do that, and his current posture may further lead to the conclusions they draw in the future. I think that, this is what democracy is about. We have institutions that have mandates. And in this case, there's an investigation. He's somebody who is a person of interest, and they are following the process. I think that we should be willing to respect when our anti-graft or security agencies invite us for any questioning. And let's see how it turns out ultimately.
He raises questions about the conduct of the Special Prosecutor. He says, in his view, should have been measured in its approach. Samit Akon, whom we spoke to not long ago, also maintains that the Special Prosecutor acted within the remit of the law, setting up that particular office. Now, is there any real merit and concern in this particular position that they take?
Well, that's what I just tried to speak to, that I don't see that it's a question of not being measured. I see it rather a question of the intelligence or the information that the OSP has. If Paul says he has no landed property, and then the OSP says that provide so and so, it may be a way to put on paper that you actually say you don't have landed property. which may be in contradiction to the information they already have on Mr. Paul Adom Otcehere. So I don't see it as the OSP not being measured. I think that he probably is making sure they have on record certain comments. And I think that there's a habit or a trend when persons are invited to these anti-graft and security agencies that we will say is witch hunting, we will say they are not being measured, and so on and so forth. Yet that mandate has been provided to them constitutionally and by law. And so what are we saying? Is there any part of the constitution or the law that says they cannot do this? That whole issue of being arbitrary or capricious, how do they know that this was arbitrary and there was no basis to demand the landed property? I think that it's early days. I think that the special prosecutor is doing his task, and let's respect the agencies of state and answer the questions. If ultimately they are set free, then that's good. But if ultimately they provide other evidence to show that they knew what they were doing when they asked these questions, then some of us who are making early commentary may find that we have spoken out of context too early.
Zan, I appreciate your time on this, and I thank you so much for stepping out to talk to us. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, too.
And I'm Sanano, the co-chair of the Citizens Movement Against Corruption there. Now, the Ministry of Communications and Digital Innovation has given the DSTV up to August 7, 2025 to reduce subscription charges for customers or risk having its broadcasting permit suspended. Now, speaking during the government accountability series at the Jubilee House, Sector Minister Samuel Etejod revealed that his request for multi-choice operators of DSTV to reduce their prices in line with the improved economic indicators fell on deaf ears. Now, he says instead of DSTV rather responding to the concerns of Ghanaians, they rather wrote back to justify why the prices cannot be reduced as he had requested. So this is what Samuel Etejod said about this matter, which has generated a lot of conversation on social media.
Simply a policy direction. Whom am I to issue threats? I'm merely a policy maker. And so the policy position of the government is clear. I'm just going to run through a portion of my letter to DSTV. In that letter, I compared Ghana, Nigeria, Liberia, and Ghana has a bigger population than Liberia, Angola, Botswana, that Ghana is bigger than as well, Eswatini, clearly Ghana is way bigger than Eswatini, and South Africa. For the premium package, Ghana pays 82 equivalent. What I did was I took all the package prices and pegged them at the central banks of all of these countries, their rates to the dollar, so that we have a uniform pricing. For premium package, Ghanaians are asked to pay $82.40. Nigerians are paying $29. Liberia is paying $61. Angola is paying $33. Botswana, $61. Eswatini, $52. South Africa, $51. Clearly, Ghana is way so high. There is no justification. It's the same content, the same old movies. And let's just be clear. The same multi-choice in June last year did a $30 price reduction in Liberia. Liberia's prices were similar to Ghana. They slashed the premium price by $30, slashed all the lower bundles by $17. What is good for Liberians and Nigerians is good for Ghanaians. I am not threatening multi-choice and I'm not hounding them out. We're simply protecting the Ghanaian people. I have made a request for 30%. What I consider a proactive step will not be you writing to me and tell me that the prudent management of the economy by the Mahama administration that has led to upgrades in our credit rating by Standards and Poor's, Fitch, you tell me that that is a fluke. And so in my letter to MultiChoice, I asked them since when they began rating economies. Because for them to tell me that the improvement, the over 30% appreciation of the Ghanaian cedi is unsustainable and cannot be projected against, I want to know what expertise they have in determining the future of the Ghanaian economy. We are simply acting as regulators. We will not give a license to a foreign entity to come and fleece Ghanaians. You want to work here in Ghana, you will work in the interest of the Ghanaian people. I gave them 21 days, they responded. I've given them another 7 days. By 7th of August, the NCA would suspend their broadcasting license if they don't come back to us with a reduction in price for the Ghanaian people.
That's a tough one. That's someone at George there. Now, this is one that has generated some conversation indeed, a number of questions being asked, because someone at George did give this indication a little over a month ago that there's going to be some engagement with the multi-choice. Chief Executive Officer of the Consumer Protection Agency, that's Kofi Kapito, is joining us on the telephone, and he's been following this quite closely as well. Mr. Kapito, good evening. Thank you for joining us.
Good evening, Alfred. Good evening to your listeners.
It's always great to have you join us. Now, you listened to the minister today, and what I just played, essentially capturing what the minister's sentiments were and the reason why these multi-choice operators of DSTV have been given this deadline by the next 1 week to comply, or the NCA would act. Is the minister going on the right path on this?
You know, having sentiments and actually the reality are two different things. I feel the minister is paying because me and himself and a lot of Ghanaians who subscribe to DSTV, I've always made this argument that it's a little pricey. But he's talking about they need to reduce by 30%. If they reduce by 30%, is it going to be the same price as in Sierra Leone or some other countries which is cheaper? He's mentioned that other countries being $61 and all that. But the question is, yes, DSTV needs to reduce its cost to the Ghanaian public. Because if you look at the whole continent, as per the minister's press, it looks like Ghana is a little bit high. My question to the minister, he says, is a policy. When you do a policy and you do a policy that starts with a figure or some amount that is agreed on, you need to do another policy to see how you can change it. Yes, DSTV, I've engaged them several times. They are also claiming that there's too many taxes that they pay in Ghana, because I went to them and said, listen, now we see how we can reduce, and the government needs to reduce some of these taxes, that we can pass it on to the consumer as a savings. So my argument is, yes, I support the minister if he's going to fight on behalf of Ghanaians so that we can get a cheaper price for DSTV. I'm for it. But funny enough, this is a business, a private business. You see, competition brings better prices down. Unfortunately, there's no any proper competitor in Ghana to compete against DSTV. The only reason why DSTV has an advantage is because of the EPL, which most of the men who are in Ghana subscribes to. But the question is, another power resides in we the consumers and we the customers. What about boycotting DSTV? Okay, we can also use that as a tool to let them know that we are not happy. If they don't reduce it, we won't switch it back on. It will rather see them in their pockets more than, say, suspending their license. If they refuse not to do it, what will be the alternative? I support the minister that if he can do this within his own powers, I'm for him 100%, because everybody pays and the prices are the same.
You would want rather the consumers take an action to express our sentiments about the seeming fleecing on the part of multi-choice as against a government-led approach or a government-led punitive action. That's what you're proposing.
I'm not saying against. I said that's another way of doing it, and we can do it ourselves without involving the minister in there. It's done in a lot of jurisdictions. Nigerians do it all the time.
Yeah, so that'll be consumers leading that protest or that demand for a reduction.
What I'm saying is that is another way we can do it that way. If the minister can do it on our behalf, why not? I support the minister, like I said, I support the minister as long as the prices will come down. So if the minister can do it, fine. But if not, we, the subscribers, also have another opportunity to show to the DSTV people that we are not happy. So maybe if you have a 100% membership and 40% decides not to subscribe anymore, you might think again.
But now it appears there's been some, in fact, the minister did indicate that he has engaged a number of times with multi-choice operators, and then they wrote back to him about their own view of the economic improvement, which the minister referenced as one of the reasons why there should be a reduction. They also take position about their taxes and how it's impacting on them, as they told you as well. And I'm sure that may have come up in the conversations with the minister. What should be the middle ground of compromise so as to have a win-win situation?
You know, the government has done a very wonderful thing with the cement companies, right? Which is Honorable Abuja saying that if you're a contractor and you want to do a Ghana government contract, government would not accept your cement price more than 95 cedis a bag. Maybe they have a way of getting contractors alternative supply of cement. So it's doable. But in a free enterprise, in a free market, sometimes regulations doesn't make it better. But what I'm saying is, what will make it even much easier, and they will not involve government or the minister, somebody feeling there's government interference in private business. We, the subscribers, okay, we are not obliged to anybody. We are the ones who are paying it. It is our money. If we decide not to part with it, nobody can force us. But like I said, I support the minister. If he can do it, hooray to the minister. I'll say kudos to him. But alternatively, we Ghanaian people can also find our own way of making sure that our grievances are also adhered to.
I do thank you very much, Kofi. Thank you for your time this evening. Kofi Kapito is Chief Executive Officer of the Consumer Protection Agency. So live here on Hot Edition. Now, the Ghana National Association of Teachers, NAT, is calling for the establishment of more reform centers to address rising indiscipline among students, especially in the senior high schools across the country. Now, the association warns that the government must take interest in the growing indiscipline, because the growing acts of violence, such as students brandishing knives and attacking their peers, pose a serious threat to the country's educational system if left unchecked. Ghana National Association of Teachers General Secretary Thomas Tanko Musa made the call in response to a recent surge in student violence reported in parts of Accra.
These or those institutions that help to shape the behavior of future generations, the institutions are no longer there, and human resource to actually man the place, they are all not here. So that is the problem today. When a child has a problem today, some of the children, they don't know the person to talk to. There are children in their own homes, they cannot talk to their father, they cannot talk to their mother. Before even their parents will hear the words had happened. So for me, the institutions that were established years back to help the children reform, aside empowering the teachers, where the teachers can take drastic measures against students, we also need to look at these homes where children who are very stubborn, like we are talking about students pulling out knives and all that. We take them there, go and help them reform. When they come back, they will change, because we can't kill them. They are our children.
We need more reform centers.
Yes, like I'm telling you, those days we have them, we call them Akoraboni school. Akoraboni, they take you there, and by the time you come back, you know that yes, something good had entered into you. And so today we don't have those institutions again. They are all white elephants. Aside that particular one, like I'm telling you, the teachers today, they look somehow handicapped. Because if you don't take time, they pay, even though the minister has said it, we are asking to let those things be documented, so that it will not be like a child misbehaves, and then the teacher, let's say the headmaster or the headmistress will say, please, you are sacked from the school. The next day, you will see the parent all over. The media will take it up, Where do you want the child to go? Where do you want the child to go? Then the headmaster or the headmistress will become a scapegoat. Yeah. And because of that, yes, the minister has spoken, but we need a policy guideline to help us handle these things very well at the school so that the teachers themselves will not get into trouble. Otherwise, I will tell you that, look, we are not in good times. And the kind of things that the children are dealing with,
As Thomas Musa Tanko there. Let's go to Parliament now, where Parliament has adjourned indefinitely for recess after 43 intense sittings spanning a 10-week period. Leaders of the House have pleaded with members to prioritize their health and use the period to complete other parliamentary business. Christian Yali is our Parliamentary Affairs correspondent. He's joining us on the telephone right now. Christian, now tell us how the day ended for members of Parliament over this long period of, periods of sitting as well. We saw some sittings going as far back into the midnight as well. How was it for them in the last day?
It sounded and came across as a relief to some of them. But the truth also is that, Alfred, there are a lot of them who are part of several committees that are still going to work during the period of recess. When you take the Public Accounts Committee, for instance, they are going to consider a number of audit reports that have already been referred to them to consider. So for some of the MPs, it is still going to be a good period of work for them over the next 3 months, possibly, of break from the plenary work. What we also know is that most of them would then go back to their constituencies, and then they are able to also attend to other things. Others would embark on trips abroad on the ticket of Parliament or on national assignment. And so that is the situation. But generally, the House concluded its second meeting within this year, what they would call as the first session of the 9th Parliament. And to many of the MPs, it is just a moment for them to rejuvenate and then come back stronger. One of the things that was, highlighted was the unfortunate demise of the Apetia MP, NSC Alkumi, and that was what the Speaker based on to advise members of Parliament to consider and really take good care of their health, prioritize themselves over any other thing, so that we don't keep recording more of these cases which seem to mar or disturb the functioning of the legislature.
See, now on the part of the members of Parliament, you talk about the fact that they are not even going to rest because of the committee meetings that they will be engaged in. I know you spoke to a number of them. What did they tell you about this particular sitting and how intense the sitting was and how the next coming days will be for them?
Especially when you ask the first timers, they will tell you that they are still in the process of learning and getting used to the business of Parliament. For some of them who have been placed on very crucial committees like the Budget Committee, the Finance Committee, the Subsidiary Legislation Committee, they will tell you that it has been a very daunting and demanding task for them, especially when you find yourself on the Subsidiary Legislation Committee, for instance, where they are going to deal with a lot of the amendments to some of the laws and the bills that are passed eventually. It means that you need to be abreast of the legal or the legislative drafting process to be able to understand how to even make your input thereof. So that is one of it. There are others who, even on the floor, are unable to, let's say, for instance, move motions for certain reports from their committees to be adopted. In situations where you don't have the chairperson or the vice of such committee and they are being asked to step in. And so for many of them, it has been generally a period for them to begin to learn and adapt and, familiarize themselves properly with the work. But as the Speaker of Parliament will tell you, the work of a parliamentarian goes beyond just showing up in the chamber to debate or engage in a lot of the political activities there. It extends to what you're able to do at the committee level. That is what will help you to get the influence, and by extension can even help you if you want to seek a rebate, because in the chamber really a lot of the activities there are just for the public, but what goes on before they bring them to the chamber are what defines the work of parliamentarians. And so for many of them, they tell me, Alfred, that, see, We have learned a lot. We are still learning. We are picking from some of our seniors and going to come back. We are going to do better and get to learn a lot within the period of this break.
Christian, thank you so much, and great work as well throughout this particular session. Christian Yali, as always, he's the Parliamentary Affairs correspondent there. The National Security Coordinator, Abdul Razak Osman, has urged traditional leaders to prioritize dialogue over violence in resolving the protracted Boko conflict and other chieftaincy-related disputes. Speaking at a meeting with the National House of Chiefs in Kumasi, Abdul Razak Osman expressed deep concern over the rising number of chieftaincy and ethnic conflicts across the country. He highlighted the devastating toll those disputes take on national resources, human lives and livelihoods, emphasizing the urgent need for peaceful resolution mechanisms.
As far as the OSP is concerned,
chieftaincy, land and ethnic disputes. No. The numbers are staggering and heartbreaking. Reported cases are well over 503 chieftaincy, ethnic and land-related disputes nationwide, with 130 of them posing existential threat to community security and, for that matter, national security, not forgetting the weight they put on the public purse. Chieftaincy and land disputes have claimed nationwide considerable lives. Many others have also been made. These are not just statistics we're mentioning. They are fathers, mothers, sons, and daughters, and most of all, your subjects whose dreams have been cut short. Cut short by conflicts that should never have occasioned. Nanano, permit me to cite some examples and add credence to what I'm trying to say. The current conflict of national concern is that of Boko. Boko, once a thriving commercial hub, has become a theater of violence synonymous with tragedy, forcing the hands of national security apparatus to impose curfew just to preserve lives. Again, we have the issue of Nkwanta, blessed with natural beauty, now mourn several deaths and destruction of property. To have our children drawn into this conflict is unacceptable. Nana President, why are we here? We are here today because we know that behind every dispute over a stool or a skin and every conflict over land lies a deeper customary and traditional cause, such as the erosion of traditional mechanisms that once made such violence unthinkable. When the authority of traditional leaders is undermined, when customary laws are ignored and succession pathways are not adhered to, what happens is chaos, and that is what we are witnessing today. As a law enforcing officer and a student of the law, I will appreciate perfectly that the legal regimes are clear.
As a National Security Coordinator, there is live here on Hot Edition. We're back shortly with the business news. Bismarck Awusa is standing by after this quick break.
Ghana. It's a new year and Bill's Microcredit is here to support your dreams. If you're not working but want to start a business, don't let money stop you. With just your Ghana card, you can get a loan to turn your ideas into reality. Already running a business? Need more capital? Or are you a salary worker looking for extra funds? Bill's offers fast and easy loans with no collateral, no deposit, and no SUSI savings required. Wherever you are, whatever you need, Bill's makes it happen. Call Bill's Microcredit today. Call 0596 920 833 or 0302 200 390 and get started. Bill's is licensed and regulated by the Bank of Ghana. Bill's, financing your needs. Terms and conditions apply.
Hello, good evening and welcome to the business segment on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7 with me, Bismarck Ausa. Coming up tonight, Ghana's banking sector soundness strengthens in 2024 amid strong profitability, improved liquidity and operational efficiency. We'll bring you details of Bank of Ghana Financial Stability Review. Thanks for your company. Now to the very first story. Ghana's banking industry recorded significant improvements in soundness and resilience in 2024, driven by strong profitability, high capital levels, improved liquidity conditions, and enhanced cost efficiency. The latest financial stability review by the Bank of Ghana indicates that the sector has stabilized following earlier shocks, with its soundness index rising above the long-term trend. However, risks such as elevated non-performing loans and the undercapitalization of a few banks still linger. The overall health of Ghana's banking sector showed marked improvement in 2024, according to the Bank of Ghana's latest financial stability review. The report noted that the banking sector soundness index ended the year above its long-term trend, signaling improved industry resilience. The central bank attributes the positive outlook to regulatory relief measures under the domestic debt exchange program, stronger earnings, and better operational efficiency. Liquidity also improved across the sector. Broad liquid assets to total assets rose to 66.9% in December 2024 from 65.7% the year before. Similarly, liquid assets to short-term liabilities increased slightly to 80.1%. In terms of cost management, the sector showed gains in efficiency. The cost-to-income ratio fell to 79.1% in 2024, down from 80.1% the previous year, and significantly lower than the 120.8% recorded in 2022 during the DDEP impact period. Despite the gains, the report warned that high levels of non-performing loans and undercapitalization among a few banks remain key risks. But these are expected to ease with ongoing recapitalization efforts, a recovering macroeconomic environment, and better risk management across the sector. And that was a 3 Business News Desk report on Ghana's banking sector soundness strengthening in 2024 amid strong profitability, improved liquidity, and operational efficiency. Meanwhile, the Bank of Ghana's report also revealed that total financial sector assets grew by 34.6% to 525.59 billion cedis in 2024 from 390.17 billion cedis, 28.4% recorded in 2023. However, the total financial sector assets constituted 45.2% of gross domestic product (GDP) in December 2024, marginally down from 46.4% in December 2023. According to the 2024 Financial Stability Review, the banking industry accounted for 76.4% of the sector's total assets as at end December 2024. This is compared to a share of 76.3% in 2023. And that will be the end of the business news on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7 with me, Bismarck Ausa. For more business stories, please check out our website, 3news.com. Bill Eshen is here for sports. Please stay.
Hello there, good evening and welcome to the sports segment here on the 3FM Hot Edition. My name is Bill Ishen. Now, former Black Stars player and coach Charles Kwabla Nakono has been named the new head coach of Kenyan Giants Gor Mahia FC. The 52-year-old signed a 2-year deal to become the coach of the club and will be supported by a Ghanaian technical team. Akono will be assisted by Bismarck Kobi-Mensah and Ben O, named the goalkeeper's trainer. My colleague Mutala Yakubu has more.
Yes, Siki Akono, former Black Stars captain, former Black Stars coach, has now joined Gor Mahia in Kenya. Big move for him. Not just him, Kobi-Mensah as well, former head coach of Great Olympics, went to Bechem United. Sika Akono has been home for some time. For the past 4 years, he's not been active in coaching. His last job was at the Black Star level, even though he has experience with Asante Kotoko and Hartlepool. This is a different field altogether for him. The first time he's coaching outside the country, it's not going to be an easy job for him, especially considering how competitive the Kenyan league is and how Gor Mahia are striving to win the Kenyan Premier League. But with the help of Kobi-Mensah, you're sure that he's getting a good tactical brain that will assist him to get the job done. So what we can see is we'll monitor how things go there, but he will need to refresh his memory as far as the new or modern coaching is concerned, because he's moving to a different level altogether.
That was my colleague Mutala Yakubu. Let's still stay on the local front, because after inspecting the Babayara Sports Stadium on Thursday, Director General of the National Sports Authority, Yam Pofwankra, says government is eyeing a complete revamp of the stadium after the Black Stars 2026 World Cup qualifiers in September.
The issue obviously is long term. We've been doing short term, back and forth. Long term, what can be done to ensure that not just that portion of the stadium, but the entire stadium is brought up to scratch. And for now, the idea is to have a comprehensive revamp after the qualifiers. However, if anything changes between now and then, it will definitely be communicated to all of us.
That was the Director General of the National Sports Authority, Yao Ampofo Ankra. Let's still stay on. Let's move on to the European front, because Tottenham manager Thomas Frank was full of praise for Mohamed Kudus after the Ghanaians' display in Tottenham's 1-0 North Derby win against Arsenal in pre-season. Now, Kudus lasted for an hour before he was substituted.
I think he was really good today. Kudos. I think his hold-up play and taking care of the ball, getting out of tricky situations, his one-on-one skills, creating opportunities for the team, I think was top class. And on top of that, I think he's working extremely hard. There was one recovery run from a set piece where he was sprinting all the way back. I can't remember which one Arsenal player it was, and won the ball back. And that just helped the team so much. So he will make a lot of the fans be very excited with his offensive actions, and he will also help the team defensively.
That was Tottenham manager Thomas Frank speaking on Mohamed Kudus. Now to our final story. French Ligue 1 outfit Le Havre FC have officially parted ways with Ghanaian forward Andre Ayew ahead of the 2025-26 season. A 35-year-old joined the club in November 2023 as a free agent following his departure from English Premier League side Nottingham Forest. Now, he later re-signed with Le Havre in October 2024 on a 1-year contract after his initial deal expired during the summer. During his time with the club, Ayew played a pivotal role in helping Le Havre avoid relegation, contributing 9 goals in 49 appearances across all competitions. Bringing an end to the sports segment here on the 3FM Hot Edition, and that's how we close the 3FM Hot Edition for the week. Of course, we'll be back next week, Monday, with yet another edition with Alfred and the rest of the team. Until then, have a great